This show is sponsored by Sevi, answering all your commercial real estate needs. Sevi is the first commercial real estate company committed to the 4 C's: commercial real estate, community, content, and culture. Go visit Sevi at Sevi, SEVI, properties.com. Again, SeviProperties.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla, and today I have a very special guest for you. We have Matthew Veland. Matt is the president of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of the Metro Washington, D.C. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you. Before we go into your personal and business journey, I like the audience to get to know the organization a little bit better. Obviously, they see their name and they're like, okay, something to do with the Filipino community in the DMV area. So what do you folks do there, please?
Yeah, so our chamber, our Philippine American Chamber of Commerce is based right here in the Metro Washington, D.C. area. We've been around for 31 years now. And from day one, our mission has been to uplift and empower Filipino and Filipino American owned businesses, entrepreneurs, and even folks that are just into business development right here in the area. We have a footprint of about maybe 200 to 300 area businesses. We have folks that are up in Baltimore. We have folks that are in Manassas, a couple in West Virginia, and then of course more familiar areas like Ashburn, Montgomery County, Arlington, etc.
That's great. How many members do you have in total?
Right now, active members, probably closer to about 75, but we have a rotating cast of characters and folks that have been involved probably in that 200 to 300 range over the past couple of years.
So, and these are all members that are, I guess, we're either, born in the Philippines or maybe first, second generation Filipinos, right?
That's an insightful question. Most folks don't know to ask that. I would say it's a good mix. I would say maybe 50% of the folks are born in the Philippines. About 50%, like me, were born here in the United States.
Okay. All right, great. And you said they're from a variety of different industries. So you have if you can share a little bit as far as, all the different members and what they do, some of them.
Yeah, so we have a lot of members that are small mom and pops with restaurants, candle making businesses, small little bakeries. We also have folks that are in investments and the financial services industry. We have folks in insurance. We have a lot of folks in real estate, actually. So I think it's a really good mix. We also have a small but mighty group of healthcare folks where they own a small care company where they provide different levels of care to folks that are either elder or experiencing some kind of medical condition. So we have a good variety, but we're concentrating in a couple industries.
And the focus of the organization, Matt, is, I guess, to help the community here locally, whether with their business. Is it more networking or what specifically?
I would say our core value prop, our core programming is really a monthly mixer that we do. It's a meet and greet. We rotate between different areas. So sometimes we're in Maryland, sometimes we're in Virginia, sometimes we're in DC. And most of the time we're at restaurants, but a lot of times we're just in spaces that Filipinos and Filipino Americans own. So the idea is to provide networking opportunities on a monthly basis as the core base foundation of what we're doing. But we've also had some other really exciting programming. We worked with one of our partners, Pinnacle Financial. They're a bank that's just moved into the area. We did a mastermind group with them that was kind of like a guided book club. Usually these masterminds cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. We were able to provide it at no cost to our members. We also have a great partnership with National ACE, which is the largest umbrella organization for Asian American chambers and entrepreneurs. They have a capital readiness program that helps small business owners access capital and prepare to grow. So we have a lot of really exciting programming. I would say the biggest thing that we have this year is our Future Forward Business Summit, which is on September 20th. We have keynote speakers. We have panels on AI, on trade policy, et cetera. We have a vendor fair. We have a healthcare job fair. We have a VIP event. We have a lot going on for that event. But really what sits on top of that base of networking is a couple other offerings that we've been able to provide with a lot of our great partners in the area.
That's great. And you said this event is in September?
September 20th, that's right.
Okay, where?
So it's at the Hilton Tyson's Corner, McLean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too far from folks that live in Northern Virginia. I like the location because we've worked with them before because they have a lot of great parking. It's going to be an all-day event. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm going to be up for 24 hours. I'm going to need to crash all day Sunday. And then I owe you a favor, right?
So it's Saturday then, all-day event.
It's all day Saturday. That's right.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Can't wait to get into, Matt, how you even, started with the organization and what led you to do, to become president to what you are today. But before that, are you originally from the DMV area?
So I grew up born and raised in Virginia Beach, as a lot of Filipino Americans on the East Coast are. My dad was Navy. My mom had just immigrated from the Philippines. There's in the Navy, there's the well, I don't want to call it, what it's, but there's the organization. There's a lot of Filipinos that jokingly work together and help each other out. And my dad was this scrawny young kid from Pittsburgh, white boy, and they took him under his wing. And my Filipino uncles, titos, they really kind of took care of him, and they invited him out. And then when my mom immigrated from the Philippines, one of my uncles was like, "Hey, you all should come out to this party." He introduced them, and here we are, 35 years later.
Oh,
So
wow.
originally from Virginia Beach.
Nice. So your dad is American or is he from Filipino descent?
No, my dad's white boy from
Okay.
Pittsburgh, so
Okay.
Eastern European stock. He's half Polish and half Hungarian, and
Mhm.
my mom's 100% Filipino, born and raised in Manila. Grew up here and came here in the early 80s.
That's great. So you grew up all in, you said Virginia Beach, right? So you did high school and everything in Virginia Beach area.
I did, and I actually lived there until maybe 10 years ago. My friend, who became my girlfriend and is now my wife, we got together and we decided, hey, we want to pursue additional opportunities, maybe a place with opportunities for a graduate degree for her, for different business opportunities, more going on. We wanted to be in a city, love Virginia Beach, but we wanted to be in a city, right? And she got into University of Maryland at College Park, and that's where she did her master's. And so that's what brought us to the DMV here. And in December, it will have been 10 years for us.
Nice. So growing up in Virginia Beach, if I can just take you back there for a moment, I don't know, what were you into, obviously besides school, any extracurricular activities? I'm sure maybe the beach is nearby. I don't know if you were into surfing or any other sports.
Yeah. So my dad is a big sports fan. So we follow all the Pittsburgh sports. We follow the Steelers, we follow the Penguins, we follow the Pirates, unfortunately. But
Okay.
we've always got a game on. And now that we're older, we've been going to games together because all the kids are grown up. So we'll go to Pittsburgh to watch a game. They'll come to DC to watch a game. We caught the Steelers Commanders game last fall here in DC, and it was a great game. The Steelers came out on top, but still a great game. That was the first game that I watched, and I was like, oh my god, these Commanders, they can ball right now. Like I gotta start following this franchise too. But growing up, I was a nerd, man. I played the piano, I did debate, did a little bit of karate. So most of my stuff was focused on school and extracurricular type stuff. But now that I'm older, I mean, I always watch the sports and I keep up with them now. And we're getting into fantasy football season, so I'm
Yeah,
getting ready
yeah.
for that again.
So after high school in Virginia Beach, did you already know what you wanted to do next afterwards, or?
Uh, No, I didn't. I didn't actually. So, like a lot of folks, I had to find my way in my 20s, and I'm glad, because I think folks that never get off the right track, they never kind of explore what else is out there, and then maybe they regret, or maybe not. I don't know. That's not the life
Mhm.
I lived. The life I lived was I did a lot of things in my 20s. After college years, I was in freelance digital marketing for a little while. I actually worked at Mom's Organic Market. You might be familiar with them. They got a large footprint here in the area. And then I found my way to the industry I'm currently in, and I don't ever want to leave it. So, I did plenty in my 20s, finally settled into a career that I think aligns with what I want, what I need, what will be able to help me provide for my family. And it's been 6 years now. So I'm real happy where I am now.
And what career is that?
So I work in an investment management firm. So we help people with their investments. Sometimes we help them with financial planning or insurance needs. I primarily work with a lot of folks in healthcare, so physicians, nurses, small businesses that work in that field as well. And just by living in this area, I work with a lot of federal, like govies, government contractors and employees. So it's, as you know, it's been a tough year for those folks. So that's probably who I've been able to help out the most this year. It's been a great opportunity helping folks navigate those choppy waters.
So basically like financial advisor.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you say you've been doing it for 6 years now and you really love it?
Yeah. It's a great mix of. Um, I feel like I have the freedom to choose the things that will help me grow on my timeline. So there's. I mean, we also had a kid, right? So the flexibility. If there's we just went through a hand, foot, and mouth outbreak at daycare, right? So we had him home for a couple of weeks. I was able to work from home and, everything like that, able to do a little bit of work on the weekend. So I like the flexibility. I also really like the ability to impact people's lives. I mean, they're literally trusting us with their life savings and helping them stretch their dollars, helping them achieve what they want in life, helping them power their retirements. I mean, I don't know. I like the impact that I'm able to make. My folks originally wanted me to be a doctor, and I can't say I'm saving lives by stopping bleeding folks and doing surgery, but I like to think that we make a great impact in their financial lives.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. So as far as then, were you involved in the organization? Is that how it was? Did you start as a member? How did it evolve to where you are now as far as president?
Yeah, so it's been a journey, and what I like is that sometimes when people get this question, it's some kind of idealized version of how noble it is they got it, and sometimes people are just like, I'm just trying to make money. And for me, when I got started in this business, I really wanted to expand the footprint of folks that I was able to impact in their lives. And so what I did was I just started Googling organizations, and this chamber came up, and I tried to get involved during the pandemic, kind of end of 2020. And the president at the time, Christina Cizon, who is a mentor, she runs a great residential real estate group here. She welcomed me. She said, "Hey, we're kind of virtual right now for obvious reasons, but we'd be happy to help you here and have you on as a member." And then I was able to join the welcome committee. And then from there in 2022, 22, 23. Yep. In 2022, I was elected as the VP. And then in 2024, I was elected as the president. And at the end of this year will be the end of my 2-year term. Our terms are for 2 years.
End of 2025?
End of 2025. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has the 2 years been so far? Since it's coming to end here in what, 4 months or so?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, as I mentioned, 2 presidents ago was Christina Cizon, but the immediate past president was Michael San Juan, also a mentor, very involved in the healthcare community, great cook. He has us over all the time to plan and also to eat. And it's been great continuing what Mike started in that he wanted us to do these meet and greets every month. It's a great foundation for our members. Expanding some of the program we're doing and really pushing for a larger event here with the summit has been an opportunity for growth. I was thinking of all these words, challenging, stimulating, but I'm glad we're doing it, and I look forward to it. So it's been a great ride, and I look forward to continuing strong, electing a new board, and setting up that new board with some of the resources that we've grown and some of the processes that we've developed as well.
In September, this event that you have, is this an annual event that you typically have every year?
No, this is the largest event that we have done in maybe 10 years.
Oh,
We
wow.
had a business expo planned
Okay.
in 2020. I think that we were supposed to do it in March of 2020, so it did not
Oh,
happen.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But as you know, like a lot of these organizations, um, some of them struggled during the pandemic, some of them withered, some of them died.
Yeah.
And I think the past couple of years, as we've come out of the pandemic, a lot of organizations have said, "Okay, we survived the worst of it. How do we, now that we've maintained, how do we grow, right? How do we go from resilience to empowerment?" To borrow a phrase from another organization that I'm a part of, right? And doing this event is really an opportunity to do something like that while also providing a lot of great value to local DMV business owners. Right?
That's great that you're having this big event. I guess what made you, I know you said you were having something of a similar with the expo
Yeah.
right around where COVID started. But now, what, 3 years later or so, what made you decide to finally like, this is the time, let's do this?
My board, I wanted to do a gala, and they were like, "Hey, hey, 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 there are a lot of galas out there. We should do something for business owners." So I initially wanted a gala, and my board, thankfully, great team, great
Hmm.
group of folks with a lot of experience. We have this balance between folks that are very experienced and folks that are kind of younger and hungrier.
Okay.
So they were like, "Hey, a gala would be great. Why don't we do a business summit? We were going to do the expo anyway. We can use some of the materials." And that's how we kind of as a group decided that's what we wanted to do, and I think it was the right call.
That's great. Um,
We'll see though. That's September 20th, right? No.
Everyone go out there, right?
Yeah, right.
That's great. And you said it's a full day event, right?
Yeah, it's a full day event. So, we have registration opening at 8 in the morning, and then we have a vendor fair for most of the day. In the afternoon, we have a healthcare job fair. So, healthcare companies that are looking to hire and nurses and caregivers that are looking for different opportunities. And then we have our VIP reception in the evening, which is also going to function. There's a nonprofit that we partnered with to raise some funds through a silent auction. All proceeds will go towards this nonprofit. They primarily work with the victims of sex trafficking in the Philippines, mainly children and women, of course. So it's a great organization, and we're happy to partner with them on the VIP part of this. So in short, it will be an all-day thing.
That's great. Matt, you were mentioning earlier how you're also involved with other organizations. I'm curious, since I don't know if, besides this one and a few others, how is this one different? Obviously, coming in, whether as a business owner or salesperson or something, the goal is obviously to meet people to help them, but it also is hopefully help your business as well, right? Um,
Yeah.
so how have you seen as far as this organization has had an impact compared to others that you've been involved with, whether now presently or in the past?
Yeah. So maybe a couple parts to that question. The first thing I heard was what's different about this organization. As I mentioned earlier, this organization has a great mix of folks. So some of the other organizations I'm part of, it might be a young entrepreneurs organization where it's a lot of folks that are younger, or it might be a nonprofit that's helping out with cancer research, and it's folks that are have unfortunately been victims of that cancer. This organization has a dynamic group. So we have some folks that are in their 50s and their 60s and their 70s that are business owners that are at the peak of their careers. And we also have folks in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, really building and grinding out. And it's exciting to see that mix, because a lot of times in organizations, when you have folks that are just one or the other, sometimes you need that outside blood to really invigorate the conversation. Whereas in this organization, I feel like we always have dynamic conversations. As far as some of the other organizations, when I was talking about how I got into this organization, I got into it because I wanted to serve the community, but I also wanted to grow my business. And a chamber of commerce is like a BNI group. It's like it's like any board that you're on. It's really about what you put into it. And I've worked it, and I've seen members work it, and I've seen members that haven't worked it, and that's what it is. But I have been able to do business in this chamber. My deal with my wife is I can't
You
be
said, I'm
involved with these
sorry, you said you
organizations.
have or you have not?
I
Oh,
have,
you have.
absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, my deal with my wife is I can't be involved with these organizations unless they're also, unless I'm also doing business with them, right? I have to be able to come home from a trip or something like that, and she's like, well, how many conversations did you have? This kind of thing. So she keeps me on track, which is great. And this organization is a lot of folks that are looking to do business with each other. So even if I can't do business with someone, I talk to a lot of folks as the president anyway. I'm able to say, hey, do you know this person does commercial real estate? Do you know this person does headshots? Do you know this person does pandesal daily, and they might be able to deliver for your event, et cetera, et cetera. So I really like the dynamic focus on growing business in this organization, and I have seen people do business in this organization, and it's great to watch.
I love that. That's great to hear. Just because, myself, I've been involved before with different networks or organizations, and sometimes these are hit or miss. And
Yeah.
the biggest resource we have is our time. So you're like, is my time
Mm,
worth the investment to come? However, for example, when I was involved with way back was we would meet weekly for breakfast, and it was a small group, maybe I don't know, 10 under 15 people,
yeah.
and different people, different industries. So you couldn't have two realtors or two insurance agents or
Hmm.
two financial advisors. So everyone,
Yeah.
similar to BNI, I've never done BNI,
Yeah.
but people have told
Yeah.
me something like that. And I was the only commercial real estate person, and I was there for a while. And besides meeting every morning for breakfast, we would also do one-on-ones with the members, right? Outside of that,
Mm,
maybe meet up for coffee or lunch or apart from meeting that morning. And I think great people. I mean, you can
yeah.
see there was a lot of business being done by the title company, by the realtor, sometimes a financial advisor or CPA. But as a commercial real estate person, I got one deal, and
Yeah.
great friends. I've actually had him on the show, and we still remain friends. And I've renewed
Yeah.
his lease, advised him several times now. Um, but was it the investment with the funds and my time? I don't know. So
Right.
sometimes they're hit
Right.
or miss. That's why I was asking.
And you were just getting started in your career at that time, right?
I was probably midpoint in my career.
Midpoint. Yeah. I mean, there's I mean, you throw a lot at the wall, you see what sticks, and it's if anything, I would think that you develop the skill to maybe not suss out, but to get a feel for the room, to see what is worth your time. So, even though it wasn't worth your time in terms of dollars, maybe the lesson that you got out of it helps you discern what's worth your time in the future, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't regret it one bit.
Right,
But that's why, like you said, now as far as going forward, if you join any other group, organization, is it worth my time, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we all have setbacks or failures, if you want to call it, throughout our life and business career. Is there anyone that comes to mind, whether you leading this organization or just, in your financial career?
Yeah, absolutely. When I so the depending on who you ask, the attrition rate in my business for the model that I came from, that I started with, is between 80 and 95%. That's the attrition rate. The 1 year and then 5 year rates in that. For folks that haven't heard that, between if you start a group of 100 people in this business, after a year you might be down to 30, and after 5 you might be down to 10. Right? It's
Hmm.
it's it's tough. It's challenging. And the cohort that I started with at the firm where I started, there were 12 of us, and we started right before the pandemic. No, months before the pandemic, and I'm the only one left now, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
that's, um, but that's I don't obviously I hustle and I work hard and I work smart and all that kind of stuff. But there were times in the first few years where you're starting during a pandemic. It's great that you can pivot to Zoom, but you don't have an existing client base to work with. There are times where it can be tough. I mean, advisors that were in the business at the start of the pandemic that had existing books, they did really well because they had strong relationships. They had folks that wanted to intensify their relationships. But folks that were just getting started, I mean, you don't want to just be calling your family all day long. I mean, you want to build streams of business. You want to build lead funnels that are sustainable, that are impactful. And starting before the pandemic, it was tough. So I mean, there were maybe maybe 2 years in. There were times where we had to sit down, my wife and I. It's like, hey, this is going to be a tough month, and I would say the reason I was able to get through it was my wife. I mean, and we were already married, but in that moment where I could tell she believed in me and my vision, she was on board. I was like, oh man, I made the right choice here. Or I did something right, because there was a moment where we were short 1 month, and of course we made it work. You do what you got to do, um, you know. But we were short 1 month, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and she just looks at me and she goes, Matt, do I need to get a second job? And it's like, um, what she didn't ask me to do was transition to a safe job. What she didn't ask me to do was change what I was doing. She said, I'm your life partner. What do I need to do? Right. And again, that showed me she's my life partner. She's the right person for me. Right. But it also kind of helped me. It motivated me to stay in the business. And now we're doing a lot better, and um, things are good. I'm happy where we're at. But I think about other folks that aren't able to kind of last in the business for whatever reason. Like, maybe if they had the partner that believed in them, maybe that's the difference. That was the difference for me, man. I'd probably be back in an office if my wife wasn't so on board with me, right? And now we're in a place where we have a son. We're looking to have more kids. We're probably going to buy a house this year, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. So that definitely was a low point, but it also helped me stay in the business and really get to the place where I am now. And I'm very, very happy and satisfied with the direction we're going.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that, Matt. Having a supportive spouse at home, it's everything. I always say, I think July we have 16 years of marriage, and I've been together with my wife for 19 years. We have
Wow.
three healthy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have three healthy boys, and I always say, the best decision I ever made was my wife,
Yeah.
was marrying her.
100%. 100%, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just, it touches me when I hear that story as far as how supportive was your wife, because, in business and, doing what you do or what I do, where we
Yeah.
don't have a safety net. We don't have that
Right.
paycheck coming in every 2 weeks
Right.
or however often. It's not always easy, being
Right.
out there on your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They are definitely a part of, it's a team effort, right? And they're
Hmm.
they're they're part of it. And I think about what she was willing to sacrifice. I didn't make her get we didn't, she didn't get a second job. We made it through that month, but
Sure.
the fact that she was willing, now it's like, of course, I always thought she deserved everything, but now I'm closer to being able to provide all that for her. So, I told her, I said, hey, the summit is September 20th. That's a Saturday. I need to sleep all day Sunday. I'm going to take most of that next week off. And then the next weekend, that the 27th or whatever, we're going to New York. I'm taking New York. You and Gordon, our son. I was like, we're going on a family trip, and I'm gonna take care of you. We're gonna have a good time because,
Nice.
just she deserve they my son too. They deserve it all, right?
Yeah. How old is your son?
So he just turned 3,
Okay.
July 30th, and we did a Pokemon themed birthday party.
Ah,
Yeah, he's just
nice,
getting
nice.
into some of that.
It's like, especially like if you go to New York City, it's the best because you can still use the stroller. I'm sure you're going to use the stroller because it's a lot of walking. Um, when we took our boys, I forgot, a couple of years back during the holidays. My youngest one was almost at that stage. He wasn't using a stroller anymore, but we're like, let's take it with
Mhm.
us just to be on the safe side. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy we did, especially during the holiday season, just coming in through the
Yeah.
streets. And that sort of was our lead way in to commit as a family of five. God, just
Right, right,
wait
right.
through all the people in the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. Same deal. We're thinking about it. No, we're not thinking about it. We're going to do it. But, if it's a couple laps around the neighborhood, that's one thing. But if we're asking him to walk 3 miles through Midtown, that's another.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You were just talking about your business here, and I know you've been in it for 6 years. From a marketing standpoint, Matt, what would you say drives the most traffic or most conversations?
Hmm. Because I've been in the business now for a few years, a lot of my really solid business comes from referrals at this point. But one of my mentors at the firm, in fact, the director that brought me over, he says referrals are great, but you also need sources. You need lead funnels. You need solid streams of prospective folks whose lives you can impact. So in addition to the referrals, I would say the biggest source of business for me is in this community. So working with business owners, working with physicians, a lot of the folks I work with are in my community, the Filipino community or the ANHPI community here in the area, and also in California. I have a large book of my business is there in California. So it's great for me because I get to make an impact in my community. I also get introduced to folks that I can help on the personal side and on the business side. There's a lot of integration in my life, and people ask, how do you do it? How do you do blah blah? And I'm just like, I'm not any better than you. I've just integrated everything, right? If I'm
Mhm.
going out to a networking event, someone there is a client, someone there's a future client, someone there is a family member, right? Someone there is someone that I've known since I've grown up. Someone there is someone that I'm on another board with, right? So integrating it all is really the only way that I've been able to make it all work. And this community has been great, and it's also helped me kind of re-engage with my identity because I'm mixed race. So I have some experience with the Filipino and Asian communities, but really spending the time has helped me get to know them and myself a little bit better.
Now, with the chamber, just like many organizations, I'm sure there's an attrition rate that, there's some members that fall off every year, and then hopefully we get new ones. From there, as far as getting new members in, as far as marketing, is it through also word of mouth with other members as far as growing the existing membership base, or how is the organization growing as far as the membership base?
Yeah, so the how is not something that we have spent a lot of time thinking about. I would say, and that's a great point. That's probably something that we can improve. Maybe I'll leave a recommendation for the next board because it's a lot of word of mouth hustling, getting people to networking events. And I will say another one of the reasons that we're doing this summit is to try to bring in new members. I mean, we come across folks all the time that don't even know we exist, right? Which is kind of an issue. But as soon as they find us, I'm like, hey, you should come to our next networking event. You'll be my guest. I'll cover your entrance fee, and I'd love to share a little bit more about the chamber. So as far as how we're bringing folks in, a lot of it's word of mouth and social media presence and referrals, et cetera, et cetera. But what I would say we have done a great job with is our membership committee now focuses on making the onboarding experience a little bit better. And when someone new comes into the chamber, they get assigned to someone on that committee. So and I serve on that committee because I think the president should be, as visible as possible. So for example, a new member came in. I was assigned that member. I took them out for coffee. I said, hey, what are you looking for in your membership? What can we do? This is what we have going on. How do you feel like you could get involved? Right. So I would say once they do come into our field of vision, we do a good job from there. But getting them to that field of vision is probably something that we could improve on. And hopefully with the summit, we're able to get a lot of eyeballs on us, right?
That's great. I know you said, Matt, you're a mixed race. So do members have to have some type of Filipino origin, someone in the blood, or what are you folks looking for?
Filipinos are I think, almost to a fault, accommodating and welcoming, right? And you could say in a way that the global Filipino diaspora community, in a lot of ways, relies on hospitality and relies on being welcoming.
True.
That being said, we have never turned anyone away. I can't imagine us ever turning someone away. If someone wants to do business with us and in our community and be a part of what we're doing, we welcome them, right? We have
Okay.
folks of different nationalities. If someone is at, say, a bank and they're Filipino and they bring their colleagues that are not Filipino, they're welcome to join.
Mhm.
My joke is, if they want to give us money for membership fees, we will say yes.
That's all that matters. The one color is that green.
That's right. That's right. That's what matters. No. And a lot of all of our events are really centered on the community. So folks that want to tap into that, folks that want to be a part of that, we welcome that. And it's good because they might bring something that our community isn't strong at, or they might welcome us to something that's happening in one of their communities. And that's another chance for us to grow as a community and as a small business owner, right? It's more opportunity, right? The more people you talk to, I mean, the better, I think.
If someone's listening to this, Matt, and maybe they want to get involved with a nonprofit that they care about, um, and maybe they're like, you know what, I want to be involved, and maybe I want to become one day VP or treasurer or president or head it. Any suggestions as far as how can they get involved with the organization and how can they move up within it?
Maybe two tactical things and maybe one strategic. In
Hmm.
reverse order, the strategic thing would be, hey, figure out how important you want this organization to be to you, and that might inform what level you might eventually want to participate in the organization in. So if you're a realtor and you're looking at ARIA, right? That's the Asian Real Estate Association here, and you know that's you really want to be a part of that community and a thought leader. You might say, oh well, I'd love to be I'd love to be an officer. I'd love to run the organization one day, right? That's kind of strategically how I would approach it because I'm a top-down thinker. So that's how I would approach it from the start. Tactically, the first thing I'd probably say is figure out what you're strong at. If you're really good at the marketing, publicity, event promotion piece, then get on that committee. Or if no one's doing it, you do it, right?
Hmm.
If you are really good at the back end stuff, if you're really good at organizing the CRM, do that, right? I'm a big fan of leaning in to strengths, right? Rather than trying to balance. The second tactical thing I'd say is if you don't know where to start, do what I did and get on the membership committee, because you're going to be talking to a lot of folks coming into the organization. New members are the lifeblood of any of these organizations. So if you are welcoming a lot of folks that are coming in, then you know a lot of the folks that are in the chamber. And a lot of these organizations, as you pointed out, do have attrition rates that are less than favorable, less than ideal. And if you are making an impact there, you'll probably get noticed by the board and by the officers, ultimately, maybe even the person running the organization. I hope that's helpful.
Very helpful. So that's what you did as far as you got involved with the membership committee, and then from there you moved
Yeah,
on. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's great. Are there any specific habits or skills you feel that you have, Matt, that have helped you, whether, in business or even just on the personal side of things at home?
So this is now the Tim Ferriss podcast, right? So,
Why does he ask that?
oh yeah, he's all about habits and mindsets and stuff like that. No,
Oh,
joking aside, I would say there are some habits that I think really help. But and I'll get into what I think really helps. But the biggest thing is probably for those that have kids, you're juggling a lot, right? And my wife has a career. I have a career. We don't have family that live with us at this time. I would say that for folks in that place, finding a balance, finding integration, like that's very helpful, as I mentioned before. As far as habits that I have, There's a lot in the way of organizing my calendar that has gone a long way for me, because as we're in similar lines of work, there's a million things you got to do, and prioritizing and organizing can be a real challenge. One of the things that my business coach has done is introduce me to a couple concepts that have really helped me get more organized. Right. So the first is my calendar is pretty, I'm pretty militant about my calendar. Folks that know me will know that. And, every Sunday, my wife and I sit down and we work through what the next 2 weeks look like. And then, of course, my business calendar is pretty set. And the second thing, besides being militant and protective of my calendar, is the Ivy Lee method. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's at the end of each day, you pick 6 things that need to get done tomorrow before the end, before you go to bed. You wake up, you roll out of bed, you start working or whatever, maybe you work out, and then you really look and see what are those 6 things. And I cannot do the second one until I've done the first. I can't do the third until I've done the second. So that method has helped me kind of reclaim some focus on a day-to-day basis, because even if you're tied to the calendar, sometimes you have gaps where you need to be doing certain work on the back end. You're not actively in a meeting, and prioritizing those things and preventing yourself from moving on to whatever distractions out there. That's been really helpful for me. The last piece of it is when our son was born. Of course, this first 6 months, it's a blur. I could have been, I don't remember a thing the first 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
but reclaiming some time and some wellness stuff that's important to me. Just taking time to sit and breathe on a daily basis, as well as I've been a runner for a long time, and I recently got back into running, and the prioritizing the time to take care of yourself. I don't know. It helps. I think last year I read Benjamin Hardy's 10x is easier than 2x, and he has a chapter in there about how much time athletes spend on recovery and wellness versus
Mm-hmm.
how much time they play in games, versus people like us where we're performing all the time and we don't spend the proper time to recover and to develop our skills, to sharpen the axe, so to speak. We're just chopping down trees with, worn out stubs all day long, right? So I find that prioritizing the wellness piece, even at the expense of business stuff that I need to do, helps me be in a better frame of mind for accomplishing the things that are truly mission critical. So for me, to get very tactical, some of that is like before we got on this show today, even though I'm traveling, I am training for a half marathon. I went and ran my 3 miles this morning. I shaved as I normally would. I had breakfast. I had 1 cup of coffee. I'm hydrating. I was able to get a little bit of, I call it breathing, but folks would call it, meditation, breath work, etc. I did a little bit of that, and that really helps me come into my morning feeling like I'm, as my business coach would put it, I'm proactive rather than reactive,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we get off, I'll take some time to maybe call my wife or do something, and then there's a little bit more work I need to get done today. And then I typically get a little bit of work done on Fridays, and then try to take a little bit of a break. So prioritizing the wellness, long story short, I think is something that has helped me get back into focusing on achievement more, as mentioned in that chapter of that book that I referenced.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Matt. What would you say is your biggest challenge with your role today at the chamber?
I think the challenge that in leading that chamber maybe is the same as the challenge of most folks leading most organizations, which is, at the end of the day, even if this isn't true, there's some part of you that thinks and or knows whatever goes right will go to the group, will be, the group, it's the group's work, and whatever goes wrong is the leader's fault, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily the case. But at the same time, in these nonprofit organizations, people are volunteering their time, right? They have other stuff going on. And so I think the biggest challenge is finding a balance where I can encourage my great team to do what the organization would benefit from them doing, while at the same time not trying to push them too hard so that they are compromising other parts of their life or leave the organization, right? And I struggle with that balance myself, as a lot of people do, but then to go and ask people that are volunteering their time to also do a little bit extra, that's challenge, but that's leadership, right? I wouldn't say that's unique to this organization or me, right? That's part of leadership, is finding the way to motivate people, how to get them to be efficient without compromising terribly parts of their life, and really just being able to not let it all stress you too much, being able to to walk away and say, hey, we did good work for an all volunteer organization or whatever the organization is.
That's great. Coming to an end here soon, what do you know now that you wish you would have known at the start of your career?
Oh man, it's way harder than you think. um, yeah, I mean that would be the biggest thing is strap in, Matt, buckle up, get ready, and I think in a lot of ways I do come from a privileged background. My dad was in the Navy, but then he got into accounting after he got his degree. My mom was an engineer after she graduated from the Philippines. She came here, but we were a '90s family. We were Walmart a lot of the time. Best bang for your buck at that time, and um, but my parents stayed together. I never went hungry, and
Hmm.
I had a lot in front of me. But starting my own business in this line of work at the time that I did, probably the most challenging thing I've ever done. And I'm glad it was hard because it has made me tougher. And if I were to just go back 6 years and tell myself, I'd be like, hey, this this can be one of the most rewarding pieces of your life that you'll ever remember, but it's also going to be one of the toughest. And you need to, it's not to say you shouldn't do it. It's just to say that you should prioritize your wellness and your well-being, because this career and what you want out of it are going to demand a lot out of you. I'm not saying you should do it or you shouldn't do it. You just need to understand what is required, right? It's that formula. It's like, and I also heard this on the Tim Ferriss podcast. It's like, figure out what you want in life, figure out what the price is, decide if you want to pay it.
So true. Yeah. You were mentioning earlier your business coach and what they taught you. Any mentors you've had throughout your career, whether this business coach or others you've had in the past, and what you learned from them?
Yeah. Oh, love that question. So, not to plug another organization that I'm a part of, but Phil Excellence is the name of another organization that I'm part of. And we have a global Filipino mentorship program. And the tagline is, do you have a mentor who looks like you? It's all about connecting Filipinos across the world throughout the diaspora with someone in a career that is not traditionally Filipino, i.e., medicine or the military, and helping them be what they can't see, or helping them be what they can see when they connect with a mentor in their field, right? But for me personally, I have a mentor in the DMV. He won't mind me sharing his name, Michael Reyes. He works over at Merrill Lynch, right? So we're in the same line of work. And even though I don't work over there, he guides me. He is always down to grab a drink or a coffee or a meal. And he has helped me figure out what I want to be in this business, where I want to go. And, even things like, which lane do you want to be in? Because, that you try to decide which organizations you want to be in. And he goes by Mikey. He says, hey, you got to pick a lane. You want to be national? Do you want to be regional? Pick the lane and hit the accelerator, go down that
Hmm.
lane. Excuse me. So helping me figure out what I'm about, how to even tactically how to do stuff in the business, when to expand, when to join a team, when to bring on an assistant, all this kind of stuff. I mean, he's empathetic, he's helpful, he's knowledgeable. And even though I don't work on his team or even at his company, he's still
Hmm.
willing to give me that mentorship and really help me grow. And I would say we see each other at events maybe once a month, but he is willing to meet with me dedicatedly to help me grow at least quarterly, right? And I'm really really fortunate to have him as a mentor in the community.
That's great. What's the name of that organization?
So his name is Michael Reyes. He's with Merrill Lynch, so they're the investment management, the wealth management division of Bank of America.
No, no, the organization that connected you with him. You said it all
Oh,
Filipinos
I'm
throughout the
sorry.
world. Yeah,
Oh. So no, that name of that organization is Phil Excellence. He happens to be a mentor there, but
yeah.
he has been mentoring me even before any of that, like outside. We met through the chamber.
Okay. I thought it
Yeah,
was
so he's
through that
he's Filipino.
organization that.
No, sorry,
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Not through that organization, but we've known each other since before that. And when we went to do this current iteration of our mentorship cohort, I did strong arm him into mentoring someone else, because I said, "Hey, we need you for this program, and you mentor me anyway." You know,
And the reason I was asking Matt, it's great because when you enter certain industries, I'm a minority, I'm Latino, and a lot of people, my focus is commercial real estate. And yes, there's a lot of Latino residential agents, just like any other minority residential.
yeah.
But in the commercial world, very little. I don't know the
Mm,
statistics, probably single digits. Um, similar to, let's say, if I was to go into the financial industry, So
Mm-hmm.
it's great that this organization exists for Filipinos who maybe want to get into an industry where, like you said, maybe a lot of them don't look like you. And you're like, yeah, you know what? There's an opportunity here. Maybe this is a plus. Maybe this is an advantage. And to have someone there that sort of mirrors, that looks a little bit similar like you, and maybe
Yeah.
a different company elsewhere in the world, and they can sort of help guide you and say, yeah, you can do it. I've done it in San Francisco, even though you're in DC, right? It's very helpful. I wish I had that when I entered the commercial real estate industry. But so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of people, it's like you can't be what you can't see, and I don't think representation is the only thing we need. I don't think representation is enough, but for a lot of folks, it's a great place to start.
For
Right?
sure.
If you, I always joke with people. I say you talk with friends. What's your favorite Disney movie? Mulan. Well, Matt, you're not Chinese. Well, I'm 2% Chinese. I did my 20 my ancestry.com. But the thing is, it was the first time I saw a Disney movie and I saw characters, and the main character feels weighed down by hundreds, if not thousands, of years of ancestor pressure. So I connected with that film, right? And it was maybe one of the first times I ever reflected about my identity and say, hey, I belong to some kind of Asian American or Asian, global community or whatever.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's a great start, representation, and I think that's what we're trying to do in that program. And another reasons why I like working with the chamber, because most Filipinos globally are hospitality, they are healthcare, they are all these professions that can be great, but I think we have to acknowledge the world we live in, and part of that is there's a greater degree of autonomy when you control resources, when you run your own organization, when it's not just that you get to sit at a table, it's when you own the table, right? And so the entrepreneurship of it all is very exciting to me. It's everyone is here chasing their American dream, and to see how and to help Filipinos and Filipino Americans do that. It's something I'm very passionate about, something that I'd love to see.
That's great. What does the future look like for you in the chamber the next couple of years? What are you most excited about?
I'm excited that we survived and are now thriving throughout after the pandemic. As I mentioned, my term ends at the end of this year, but we have grown the membership, we have grown the treasury, we've done more events. I am excited to leave behind a legacy that will continue to empower and amplify whoever comes in after me, right? And I will retain an honorary seat on the board, because I said, hey, it's been great, but I'm not going to actively seek reelection. My wife and I are looking to expand the family and everything like that. So I said, hey, let's leave the next folks set up well.
Hmm.
I'm going to stay on that board. I'm going to continue supporting the organization. Um, and from there, I hope that we as an organization continue to do events like this.
That's great. Matt, when you're not busy working and being involved in the community with different organizations, what do you like to do for fun in your free time?
I can do a lot less of it now with a kid. Um, but I will say, my wife and I, we enjoy reading. We enjoy, there's a couple shows we watch, but we also enjoy salsa dancing. That's actually how we got together. We went out social dancing, and then, and my wife is, she's mixed race like me, but her mother's from El Salvador. So, we started doing some of that together, and that's how we got together, and then I was actually on a salsa team here in the
Oh,
DMV for 5 years. So we performed from North Carolina all the way up to New York City. So when she was in her second trimester, I was like, hey, I got to focus on my family, y'all. I gotta take off. It's been a nice 5 years. So we do a little bit of dancing. I love playing the piano too. I mean, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and if I can catch a trip with my family. We'll go see a sports game, right? My son is old enough to start understanding, so we've been to a Wizards game. We've been to was it maybe a couple weeks ago? We went to an Orioles game. We went to that Steelers game last year. So I have less free time than I had, obviously, but when I get some downtime, I love doing a little bit of the dancing. I love, you know, I mean, look, man, even when I'm out at these networking events, it's fun, right? It's fun meeting friends, even if I'm not. And we have a dog at home, of course, little Yorkie. So that's most of my time. I used to play a little bit more on the video game side. I really enjoyed that, but of course now as a dad, it's like I don't have as much time there. My son has started, getting into Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a deal where Sunday nights after dinner we can watch one episode of Pokemon. So that's what we'll
Okay.
do here. And he has a couple cards and a couple plushes and stuff like that.
That's
But
great.
it is important to get some time for yourself where you're either brain rotting or doing something, dumb, some part of your identity, I think, has to be just you doing something, just you. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
can't let everything else swallow you up. You got to retain some small piece, some hobby that's just you, right?
Matt, if people want to learn more about you and the chamber, especially I know you have this big event coming in September, maybe they want to attend, where can they go to get more information, please?
Yeah, great question. So there's in the bottom corner of my Zoom background here, we have a QR code. We also have the email for the chamber. I also have a tiny URL, a mini code that I put here in the chat. So we currently have open registration for attendees. We also have a couple spots left for sponsors, for vendors, and then I think the VIP event is getting close to being full as well. So we'd love to have folks. If you're looking to grow your business during these shifting sands, I mean, the biggest thing that I think DMV business owners are facing, right? The biggest challenge is change, right? We've seen tariffs, we've seen trade policy, we've seen in our communities DEI. We've seen businesses funded by grants that have been shut down or redirected because their business or their grant was labeled as DEI. We've had chamber members shut down their businesses. We've had chamber members that they have products stuck at port and nobody knows who's got to pay the tariffs, right? So but we also have chamber members that are thriving, that are able to shift, right? So I would say if you're looking to find ways and find community and instruction on how to succeed during these shifting conditions, the summit's really for you. That's why we're doing it. So we have a QR code, we have a tiny URL that goes to the website. Registration is still open for attendees, or you could email us here at the link. I'm sorry, at the email down the bottom right. On Facebook, we are PACC DC. On Instagram, we are PACCMDC, and our website is PACC-DC.org.
Fantastic. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it and look forward to speaking with you more.
Likewise. Take care.
Take care.